Parkcast, the UK's original theme park podcast.
Welcome back to Parkcast, Park fans. We're a podcast for theme park fans. If that's you, you know by now you're in the right place. I'm Bex, this is Kev.
Hi everyone.
And we're here every week just chatting about things going on in the theme park industry, particularly in the UK, of which we've had some very exciting developments over the last couple of weeks. So we need to do that. And we're bringing back a Parkcast favourite. You wouldn't believe how many requests I get for you, Lawrence.
What?
It's true. True story.
Honestly, I just can't.
It's Lawrence from Universally Bedford.
Hello. It's a pleasure to be back. Thank you so much for having me.
You are very welcome. Yeah, I literally get messages saying, when's Lawrence coming back on to talk about Universal? So we have bowed to that demand and you're back and you're here today because just a couple of weeks ago, we got the very exciting news that Universal UK GB Bedford, we'll discuss that, is actually happening.
It's happening.
So excited.
It's coming.
Do you know what? I was kind of, I was really kind of, I was living on those positive vibes. I never doubted it, but there comes a point when you just kind of, you need a little bit more juice. You need a little bit more.
You need something. Show us something.
Yeah. You need something because otherwise it's just going to run dry. And then lo and behold, Keir Starmer, my saviour. There he was. So yeah, we're here. It's happening.
I can't believe it. I think we spoke to you it was September, October last year when we first had you on. And then we were all quietly confident that this time was going to be different. We've all been let down in the past, saying nothing Paramount, saying nothing for many of the other parks that have been dangled in front of us over the last 20, 30 years. But this one did feel a little bit different. And you did a really good job of explaining why this one felt different and all the things that were going on in the background, which we're going to end up with this positive outcome, which we now have. We are going to talk about today. We're doing a deep dive. We're going to talk about what we know so far, what we think is coming based on enthusiast intuition and careful dissecting of the artwork, and what's going to happen next, because there are still obviously some years to go until we'll actually get to walk through those gates, but it's going to rattle by quickly.
Plenty of time to talk about it.
There is.
We've got plenty more years to talk about.
Don't you worry.
Talk about it. But it's certainly the biggest thing that's happened that I can think of. Talking about this, we were talking about the golden generation of theme park enthusiast age, the age that we are. But in my lifetime, I don't remember anything quite like this big in the UK.
Not in the UK.
Genuinely.
Anything, I mean, the rides that have opened that you've gone, whoa, that's a huge, crazy thing. But in terms of a big theme park opening in the UK, nothing
and
like it.
I don't think we'll ever see it again either. Like, I don't think you're going to get another major UK park built from the ground up on the scale of Universal. I think this is it. This is the moment, and we're all going to live through it, hopefully, and see it come to life.
I mean, I do hope I'm not embarrassing myself, but I do think this has never been done before in this country. Really. I mean, something from barren land to something finished on opening day. I mean, we've seen evolution, obviously, Alton Towers, Thorpe Park, Chessington, even Legoland, that was the safari park. Yeah. We've seen evolution across the board. We've seen, there are historical attractions too, around the seaside. We've got Blackpool and Great Yarmouth and all that. This hasn't happened before.
No.
So I think it's completely reasonable to say it may not happen again on these shores. It really is a time to be alive if you're into this kind of thing.
Which we are. And hopefully you are. Otherwise, you're going to find this podcast probably a little bit weird. So we all get very excited about it. Let's just rewind to that moment when we knew for sure the announcement was coming. Because I know we'd been messaging that day and there was... excitement was rife amongst theme park enthusiasts on that evening, because there were lots of little leaks coming out, and I think it was coming from journalists who started contacting people like you and some other people saying, there might be something you're interested in coming out tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, so let's kind of get into our time machine. We might come back to that later. But let's zip up to 88 miles an hour and skip back to the 8th of May, 8th of April it was, wasn't it? It was the 8th of April. It was a Tuesday. Now, it was really interesting because the previous day I was getting a bit impatient. I'll be honest with you. I was getting a bit impatient. I was thinking, this thing's coming. I know it's coming. I could, you'd hear little kind of things here and there. And I just thought, you know what? I'm gonna stick my neck out. I'm gonna say this is happening in the next week, right? And it was a bit. There was some judgment in there, but there was also, there was a bit of kind of wishful thinking. But there was a fair amount of kind of, I don't know, intel behind it. But when on Tuesday I got a couple of emails from, I think one was from LBC, one was from the BBC. And they were saying, oh, yeah, as you know, there's going to be a massive announcement tomorrow about Universal. And I thought, yeah, as I know. But the weird thing is, like, I mean, like the Express and the Mirror have been putting my videos on their website because obviously, right, there was an embargo in through Monday into Tuesday. But they could report that some idiot online, me, was posting stuff and saying that I'm really sure it's going to happen, right? Because, I can say what I like. So when they said that, something definitely is happening, then I was messaging Bex. I was thinking, like, what is going on? and then Project Universal, who you might have kind of, you might see his stuff online. He's got some great drone footage. He messaged me as well. It's like, yeah, tomorrow, there's an embargo. And I was like, yeah, okay. So I was like scrambling. I was thinking, right, I've got to get my stuff together because tomorrow's going to be a big day. But yeah, I didn't sleep much. No. What about you guys?
Yeah, I was getting those same rumors, and I was getting people messaging me saying, I think it's tomorrow. And I was doing loads of like digging around to see what I could find. My spidey senses said the same as you. The fact that they were posting your videos where you'd specifically said, I think there's going to be an announcement this week. And because lots of people had done lots of Universal videos, but it was yours that they chose to use. And you were the only person saying this week rather than next week or whatever. I was thinking, there's something in this. There's a reason why they've chosen to highlight this. And I'd done a video about 3 months ago where I'd said, I think the Mirror are going to break it because their chief political editor had basically said, it's gonna happen, and expect a Universal announcement. And I said there's all these dealings behind the scenes. When you get a political editor breaking a story like that, it's because he's been told by someone in government, here's a nice little good news story for you. Start leaking it out to people, start making people feel good. And then, lo and behold, who broke the story? It was the Mirror. It was that same journalist. And I think the first time we got absolute confirmation it was coming out was, I think it was Newsnight do tomorrow morning's front pages. And it was like 10 p.m. and it was Newsnight was on. I think it was Attraction Source got a screenshot of their tomorrow's front pages, and they were like, and here's the Mirror. And it wasn't the main story. It was tucked away in the corner of the front page.
Yeah.
And it was like Universal gets the green light or something like that.
Yeah. It was like, punny.
It's actually happening.
Yeah, I know.
That was like, I think that was about 10:30 in the evening. So after that was it. Then I was like, right, well, I'm waiting up till midnight to see that land on their actual website and know for sure that is what that headline meant.
It was game over for sleep at that point.
It was so nice though. Everyone was kind of online and like messaging, like on like loads of Instagram stories going up, and people going, have you heard this, have you heard that? It was like a really kind of buzzy, excited atmosphere, which sounds really sad, but when you were all theme park nerds, like we said, this is the biggest announcement we've ever had. So of course we were there like getting excited about it.
And also because we've been talking about it for months now.
Yeah.
And so we just want to be able to, like you say, we want to be able to go, this is actually happening now. This isn't just this pipe dream. And, we're talking about this field in Bedford. Now we're actually saying that this is actually going to happen. And I think as well, if it was just like a small family-run park being built, would we make as much of a fuss? Probably not. I think because it's a universal park, it's the first one in Europe. And also from the concept art as well, which we'll get to in a minute, there looks like there's a lot of things in there that might be unique for the UK. Yeah. In which case, it makes it even more of an interesting pull because you're going to get people coming from the US as well.
Yeah.
People who
all
are
over.
Universal fanatics, they're going to see some of these rides in the UK. You're gonna fly over here. It's not just big for us, I guess.
No.
If Universal have obviously really thought this through, they wouldn't be putting a park in the UK if they didn't think this, it's not going to work. They've got a rival in Disney in Paris, but they know they can put a park in the UK and it's going to attract millions of people.
Yeah. I think the timing of it was really interesting as well, because a lot of people originally were saying we're not going to hear anything about this until after the end of May when Epic Universe opens. And I always thought that was off because I was like, why? Now is when there is a load of excitement and buzz about Epic Universe. All these previews are happening. And I'd been seeing that as well. And I'm sure you guys had all week before this Universal UK announcement. There was loads of Epic Universe stuff. And I was like, oh, I'm really excited about Epic Universe. Like, I was like, oh yeah, I'll get over there at some point. But then you start seeing everyone there and you're like, oh, this part looks amazing. What an amazing job Universal have done on this brand new theme park. And then they're like, poof, we're going to get one as well.
100%. Yeah, I think I said this. I think I said this maybe. I mean, the whole kind of idea of, oh, they'll wait until Epic's landed before revealing this. I just thought that didn't make any sense to me, because when Epic lands, that needs to be the news for the next 3, 4, 5 years at least. Okay, if Epic opens and then they drop this. Look, Bex, you speak quite frequently about there is a difference in perception between the likes of us and normal people. And normal people would go, oh, did you see that new Universal Park that's opened? And they'll go, no, mate, it's opening in 6 years.
Yeah.
And like genuinely, there would be a degree of confusion.
Yeah.
And look, Universal, they're the pros, they know that. So it always seemed like we were going to hear before then. It was just a matter of time, right? So,
is there another Universal project currently being constructed at the moment before UK opens?
There are a couple, but they're smaller in scale. So there's they're building a sort of a kind of a micro park, like a micro resort, which is going to be focused more on kind of family attractions. That's going to be over in Texas, and they're going to be building a kind of a year-round Halloween Horror Nights experience out in Vegas. But of this scale, this is it now. And in fact, the same person that worked on Epic as creative lead is now on this.
Yeah, I saw that.
Amazing.
Saw that announcement. Yeah, which is super exciting because Epic does look. I don't want to use the word epic, but
I know, right?
But it does.
And
we will be speaking very soon to someone who's been to some previews of it, which is going to be so exciting to hear about. But back to ours, right?
Yes.
Let's try and put this one to bed because this one's maxing me out. What are we calling this thing? Is it Universal UK, Universal GB? Surely it's not going to be Universal Studios Bedford.
No, genuinely, I don't know either. I mean, I think it makes sense. I think it will be the Universal Studios UK or Universal Studios Europe, potentially.
Oh.
Potentially. I think maybe not, but it's a possibility. I mean, I think they could call it London because that would make sense to people. It is.
Yeah.
It will only, after all, it'll only be kind of 30-minute train ride from St Pancras Station. But I don't think that's going to wash with the locals. So I think it will be UK. I think that's what it will be. In America's eyes, they're going to think, well, just UK. It's just kind of like it's a state,
Yeah.
Big. That's where I'd see it land. I think the GB thing won't happen. I think because it just it leaves some people out. It leaves Northern Ireland out, and they are part of this country. And I don't think I think they'll be sensitive to that, and I hope they would be, to be honest. So if you asked me to put my money on it, I'd say UK. What about you?
Yeah, I think I think I'd go with the UK.
Yeah.
I think I'll put my money on saying it's not going to be Universal Studios Bedford. That's what I'm going to lay that one down.
I don't know, man. Like we're known the world over. We made bricks.
See, I didn't. The only thing I knew you made was the vans, and I'm just assuming you made the vans there.
No. That's true. We did used to make vans here. Yeah, we did. But that went. So did the bricks. But hey, it's good. We got something else.
You got something very good.
It's going to be famous for something else now. And definitely. It's like we were saying, this isn't just going to attract a UK audience. So I think that'll play into what they call it. And I'm less convinced about the Europe thing because I think Americans get very confused about the UK and Europe. And they don't understand our relationship with Europe and how we're in Europe, but we're not. And I think I wouldn't be surprised on the London thing. I know the locals would kick off, but I also don't think that they'd necessarily have much say in it. So it sounds cool. Universal Studios London sounds cool. But yeah, I think
it's
UK
easier to say, isn't it? Universal Studios UK sounds easier to say than Universal Studios Great Britain.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. 100%. Like the Great Britain thing is like you don't really see Great Britain as a term used very often.
Again,
unless
foreign
you're
nations.
watching the Olympics.
That's true, actually.
But
GB, Team GB.
Yeah, I just don't know. I think the GB thing is kind of like, I think it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I would be amazed if they went with GB at this point. I do think it would be UK. London would be interesting. It's got some marketability. So yeah, I mean, look, it's watch this space. We won't find out probably until like 2 years before the park's due to open. But it'll be interesting. But it's probably the least interesting part, to be honest.
It probably is. It's really hard when you try and do an episode about something. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm calling this.
I know. No, you're right to ask it first because, after all, what are we going to call this thing?
We'll call it Universal Studios UK.
That's what I've been calling it since we started. So I'm going to stick with that. It's like Warner Brothers Studios Tour London, isn't it? And that's in Watford. Are we going to say it's in Watford or London? The Universal Studio, Universal Studios London, although it's near Luton, as well.
I'm a Watford boy. That whole debate goes on and on and on for generations. So there you
go. It might just end up being London, and we have to stick with it, I think.
And do you know what? If it happens, I'll take the hit. I don't mind. They can do it. I'm not going to. I'm not going to lose any sleep over it.
You're not going to have a protest. Well, I'm not going then because
exactly.
It's because the other ones are all named after their cities, aren't they? In so it'll be the first one that's not.
Very good point.
So potentially be London. I mean, we're only 2 hours away in the Midlands here, so it could be Birmingham still. You never know.
Don't run out.
Universal Studios Birmingham.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? I think Universal Studios Nuneaton has got a nice ring to it. So
there you go. So, could be anywhere.
Yeah. But no, it's London's warming to me. I like it.
Okay. For now, we'll call it Universal Studios UK.
Okay, all right.
Until we know otherwise, we'll do that on this podcast. Right, talking about things that we also don't yet know, but we are trying to know because the reality is we don't know anything at the moment. So, like, just to set the record straight, Universal have said yes, we want to build this park. Here's some nice concept art, but they've said nothing else concrete, have they?
No, but picture does.
The picture tells.
Words.
It really does.
How often do you zoom in, Lawrence?
Did
you do the thing? This is where it gets. That's where it gets interesting. When the artwork comes up, you zoom in. This is it now.
Yeah. I got the super duper high resolution version. I've been kind of zooming in, and I was listening to the Park Stop podcast, and they made this great observation. And if you do have the high resolution version, you can actually zoom in on the concept art. and you can see where they've generatively filled bits. So they've taken out details, generatively filled. So you kind of, so it's like, oh, you don't know what it is now. And you're like, no, we do know. So genuinely, I subject to change, and we'll probably come on to some of the bits that may change in this. But I think that concept art, I genuinely, it's not going to be like, oh, they've just thrown something together and we're not going to end up with anything like this.
Yeah.
There are some things in here that are coming, and they might iteratively change a little bit, but I think some of those things are absolutely nailed on. And to be completely honest, I'm delighted about that.
Yeah. I think particularly when you look at certain ones, you go, some look quite recognizable in terms of if you've been to other Universal parks around the world, there's certain iconic shaped buildings, Jurassic Park, for example, Jurassic World, that you can't happen but look and go, well, that's clearly that. And like I say, there are other things that are brand new that you've never seen before that you can't really make out yet, which is exciting, actually.
Yeah, 100%. Let's go through it. Let's see what we can. Well, actually, should we first of all just address the elephant in the room, which is we don't think we can see Wizarding World of Harry Potter. No. That is not in this, and we've got to remember this is phase 1, stage 1.
Yeah.
But that is nowhere to be seen currently.
It is. Look, this is the first concept art we've ever seen. It is official. So, I mean, look, my opinion on this is, I think Universal will be moving whatever mountains they need to try and make this happen. It's not. It's not an easy task because Warner Brothers know how much this is going to be worth to Universal. They also know that they do have the studio tour 30 minutes down the road. My argument is these are complementary attractions. Should they open something here? I think they're complementary. I think it's not going to be a kind of a thing going, oh, I did Leavesden or Watford. So I don't need to go to Universal, or I went to Universal. I don't bother with the studio tour. If you're into Potter, you're going to do both.
Yeah.
It may not even be in the same trip. You might have to come back for one, but you're going to do both. So I don't think it's a kind of thing where Warner Brothers are thinking about, that they're going to lose out, right? They will be compensated, I'm sure, more than fairly. But I genuinely think they'll be moving mountains to make that happen. It's not in there because it's not been agreed. And if you're trying to negotiate a really tough deal where the other person holds all the cards, the worst thing you could possibly do is broadcast it to everyone that you've already got what you wanted. It's just not a good strategy, right?
Yeah.
If because then Warner Brothers say, well, okay, the price just went up and you can't afford to not pay us that because look, you promised
You've
it
told
to
everyone.
Yeah.
And they've got the land as well to extend, haven't they, Lawrence? They've got make it 700 acres, haven't they? They've got the ability to expand. Yeah. So there's potential that concept art could be saying that's the first phase, Harry Potter eventually, second phase if they get the rights to it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, look, even if you look at this concept art, it's not jam-packed with attractions and things to do. There is a lot of space in there that can be used and utilized. And their plan is to open something big every 2 years for the first 20 years.
Okay.
Sorry, Merlin.
But Thought Park's just plan, crying.
Right? That is the plan. They're not going to open this and go, all right, we did it. They're going to be they're going to be pushing, and within 20 years, it would not surprise me if not only are those expansion plots that you see in the concept art field, but we'll also see something else, whether it's a second gate or something. I don't know, but genuinely, I wouldn't start crying yourself to sleep that Wizarding World is not coming because the thing has just been announced.
Yeah,
they probably haven't even started negotiating, and that that deal is going to take some time to iron out, and it might not even be done by the time this thing opens. But Universal will be doing everything they can to get it.
The one thing that I read that might be a reason why we're not seeing it as well, not regarding any of the contracts and stuff like that, is that the fact that Wizarding World is so successful in Orlando, and obviously we've got Epic as well, has got a whole new Harry Potter world to go and explore now as well, and they know that is a draw for a lot of UK residents, and that is the reason they specifically go and book Universal in Florida is to go to the Wizarding World. So you almost don't want to destroy your UK market in Florida by going, oh, you don't need to go there anymore. You can just go down the road instead. Which I think is an interesting way of looking at it as well. I don't, like you say, I think we'll see it at some point in some form or another, but I don't think they would. I think it would be daft of them to replicate what they've got in Florida.
100%, 100%. I think you're absolutely right. Cannibalization is a terrible idea. I think you're, if you want to see what Hogsmeade looks like, they've got the actual sets down the road. If you want to see what Diagon Alley looks like, they got the sets. You want to walk through the Great Hall of Hogwarts, they got the sets. They're going to have to think of a new angle, something that we haven't seen before.
Yeah.
And that way you won't have that problem.
This is such an exciting thing because I bet there's probably not that many people who can get to America or maybe afford to fly out to America. Certainly, maybe even not to get to Asia, to the Universal parks over there. Yeah. So for a lot of people in Europe, this is the chance to get to a Universal park and for the first time in their lives. That's the only thing I'm thinking about by not putting Harry Potter. Seems like it would be a bit of a shame because there is probably a large proportion of people who would make the trip to the UK one because of that as well, because of flights to America being, maybe out of reach for certain families, maybe.
100%. I mean, look, we're living in a world at the moment which is not the cheapest. And I'm not going to talk doom and gloom for any more than about 10 seconds, but it's a tough time at the moment for a lot of people, for most people. And the thought of spending a 10, 15 grand, because look, if you're doing Disney World and you're doing Universal and you're doing 2 weeks, because you know what, it's a once in a blue moon kind of holiday, that's how much money you're going to spend. Because if you want to go on any rides at Disney World, you're going to be buying lightning lanes. It's going to be expensive, right? And people are thinking, okay, all right, I could do that, or I could do something else. I could make that money go further some other way. This gives people, as you say, an affordable option. It's not going to be cheap, but you can have an amazing day out, a day to remember with your family for less than £1,000, which is, that's 1/10 of the price. Okay, and you're going to get a flavour of the experience.
All very interesting. Obviously, we're going to keep all eyes on that one as it develops. But let's take a look at this concept art then, and let's see what we do think we can see. Which way round should we go? Should we go clockwise or anti-clockwise? What do you think?
I think we need to go clockwise because there's a very interesting roller coaster that's literally to the left,
bottom left.
Yeah, bottom left. And even if this theme is correct. We're not talking about a theme that is touching on the younger generation here.
No.
Because it's actually one of my favourite films of all time. So you're appealing to a very interesting... It was a very interesting one, having Back to the Future as a theme. Where did this come about? Is it just a rumour or the trademarks going on?
This is not a rumour. This is not a rumour. This is... As soon as this happened, right, on the 9th of April... honestly, trademarks have been dropping. Like, they've just been pop, 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 pop. Well, we've had Lord of the Rings, we've had Back to the Future, we've had all sorts, right? All dropping in. All with the designation for attractions and theme parks. Now, this one, and I understand why you want to start there because it's honestly, like, who's not buzzing about this, right? When I saw it, I thought, hang on a sec. That looks a bit like Hill Valley Town Square. Yeah. And then, right. So this is where, so if you've got the high resolution version, and if you don't, dig it out, have a look, zoom in very, very closely, right? Zoom in very, very closely on the square. What would be where that little clock tower would be?
Mm-hmm.
And you can see there are so many little, it's kind of been blurred and squiggled out, right? There used to be a clock tower there. They got rid of it because we obviously can't tell what that is by looking.
Mm-hmm.
It is absolutely nailed on. If this part of the park happens, and to be honest, I think this is one of the most nailed on parts of this concept art that I think I'm like 95% sure this is gonna, it might change a bit, but it's gonna be what we see. This is gonna be absolutely incredible, and it fits the theme.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, like,
And you mentioned height. I remember the first time we spoke to you, Lawrence, you mentioned about height was not a problem, though. It could be
no,
they could build something insanely high. And Bex, you sent me the photo of the spike because I'd not seen it. I'd not seen the high
right,
rise thing, so I'd
yeah,
only seen the Shogun it coming out, and then
yeah,
sent me a picture, and I was like, "Whoa,
yeah, yeah,
okay."
yeah,
And
yeah.
does it go up twice? Because it
It
looks like
Yeah.
there's got
looks
two. It looks like
like,
it goes up. One looks like it's going to launch. You're going
Yeah.
to go up, and then
yeah,
there's looks like it's got two parts to it. So
yeah,
you're
yeah,
going to
Yeah.
yeah.
go
No,
up
it does.
face first, like Superman, whatever, in America, and
Yeah.
then you've got the other one that's going to come back down again.
So from what I can tell, it looks like we're gonna accelerate to
Hmm
88 miles per hour, and we're gonna go up
hmm
the tallest spike, and then it looks like we're gonna come back down. There'll be some sort of switch track trickery going on there. We're gonna whiz around a little bit, and then as you say, we're gonna go up the second spike, which looks to me to have a little bit of a twist to it.
hmm
So I mean, for me, this looks very Intamin multi-launch situation, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And the height, look, 88 miles an hour. How fast is stealth?
It's about 80, isn't it? 80 miles an hour, I
80,
think. Yeah.
80, right. I think look, Hyperia's got 5 or 6 years in the sun, right? I think this is going to go higher. I don't think it's going to be like mad. But I think I think we can see 250, 260 here.
hmm
No probs.
Yeah. That whole indoor section, it looks like you're
Yeah.
going to get like a quite a immersive kind of queue bit, potentially like a dark
Yeah.
ride section before you, because all that building looks massive. And just hearing like the Marty, we gotta go, and then you're
Yeah,
out,
yeah,
and
yeah,
then
yeah.
great Scott, and then out you go, zooming
Honestly,
88 miles an hour
yeah.
up the first spike, then down, launched again, and you're around. Yeah.
It's kind of crazy, right? Because do you know what? Like one of the things that we've always said about, particularly the accelerator model of Intamin rides has been, that there's only really one theme. It's kind of like you're in a race car. That's
Mhm.
it. Or you're in a hot rod, right? But you're racing a car. Um, and don't get me wrong, this is still a car, but uh, there's actually a point to going fast. Now, a lot of people kind of, okay, so which iteration of Hill Valley is this? Is this kind of the 1985 version? Is this the 1955 version? Is it the
Mm.
1885 version? Um, I wouldn't be surprised if it was the 50s version. The interesting question is, where are you going to be when you go through that 88 mile per hour, right? That is the thing that I'm like, that's what I want to know. I want to
Mhm.
know where the ride is going to take us, because the ride, by the virtue of its whole purpose and the theme, it's going to take you through space and time. So that to me is going to be
Mm.
absolutely fascinating.
Mm.
I think they have been absolutely vindicated in making this choice. Um, because as soon as these rumors have started, as soon as people have started to piece things together in the concept art, everyone's been going mad for it. They're like, I cannot believe they are doing this. This is nuts. And like, this transcends, the enthusiast community. This is
Mhm.
like everybody, because look, my kids, they don't know Back to the Future, right? But when this all happened, I dug out the Blu-rays, just put them on the shelf because I thought, you know what, I'm gonna refresh my. And my 3-year-old, he picked it up and he was like, "Daddy, can we watch this?" I was like, "Yeah, we can watch this." But like, genuinely, if you go through the Universal IPs, I mean, look, take Waterworld, right?
Yeah.
I've seen that show. I've seen that show. I loved the show. I hadn't watched the film until last year. I kind of wish I hadn't, but
Terrible.
it was
It's not great. It's not great.
It's weird, but but yeah, I mean, like the show is incredible, and yeah, it's still going strong, and look, say what you like. I mean, look, they did Jurassic World, and that's all brilliant, and all the rest of it, but people still love Jurassic Park. People love those 30-year-old movies.
Yeah.
It's not. I don't think that's a problem, and in fact, it's almost a selling point because they're like, damn. Back to the Future as a brand is still so strong, and we haven't really done anything with it.
Yeah.
The third year, like we're just kind of just sitting back, and it's doing all the work. So let's show it a bit of love, and let's see how this lands. And don't forget, a lot of this is gauging reaction, right? Right? They're putting stuff out there to provoke conversations exactly like this because they want to know what's going to land and what's not.
Yeah.
Before they start spending millions and millions and billions of pounds.
Yeah. We talked about in our IP episode, didn't we, about IPs lasting and not, and then when they don't last, how they date very quickly because they're so irrelevant. And I suppose a franchise like Back to the Future, the fact that it has stood that test of time even without anything happening for 30 odd years, that's the definition of an IP that's going to be around forever because it's done this. It's done this much,
and you know what? There aren't very many DeLoreans still on the road. But
I saw one the other day.
Did it bring a smile to your face, Beck?
Well, I didn't know. I'm not a car buff either, but my husband is. And it drove past us. It was heading towards Skegness, so don't know if it came out unscathed.
Oh,
but I think there's like less than 1,000 on the road or something. It's a really, really low number. So yeah, I was It was only a couple of days after this Universal announcement. I was like,
I can tell you exactly how many actually, because Project Universal did some research and there are 303 left on the road. So
crazy.
Not very many. But it captures your imagination. But
yeah, absolutely.
I mean, look, that's just one of the lands. So let's
it was the most surprising one. In all fairness, that was the most surprising theme IP that they brought up. So
none of us have predicted that one.
No.
One that we had predicted, let's move northwards clockwise, which we think is going to be Jurassic World Park.
You're hedging your bets there.
I'm hedging my bets.
And are we thinking that other roller coaster is part of it? Because that would make it quite a big land.
Yeah.
If you look at looks like there's a massive dark ride.
Now
I had heard people talk about potentially being similar to the one that's over in Beijing. Is that right? There's
nailed on.
And then you've got the coaster. Is the coaster meant to be part of Jurassic Park? Is it potentially?
I believe so.
Okay.
So that huge show building, which is just it looks like something out of kind of NASA or something. It's enormous.
It's like an Amazon distribution warehouse.
Actually, you're probably right. That's probably
more exciting.
But, that is going to be that will be an iteration of, or the same as the Jurassic World Adventure at Beijing. There is no problem with them picking that one up and dropping it in, because how many people from the UK are going to go to China?
Well, yes, that was what I was thinking.
It's not normally kind of high on people's lists, and it has a reputation until very recently of being the best dark ride in the world. Subject to change, epic universe, etc. That's what I think that is.
Yeah.
You can see just next to it there's this green tracked ride. I believe, I'll be interested to see what other people think, but to me, I think this is going to be a version of Flying Dinosaur that's over Universal in Osaka. It looks like it's got the right profile. It's in the right place, in the right place of the park. And I think it would be such a smart move. You don't, like we talked about cannibalization earlier. They want to have a Jurassic Park, Jurassic World themed area here because that is what people want. But they are not going to build Velocicoaster here because they want people to fly over for that.
Well, I'm not happy about that, Lawrence.
I know.
I'm sorry. You're going to have to settle for Back to the Future instead. Sorry, mate.
Can we at least say, if it is going to be a flying coaster, can it not be a B&M? Can it be a Vekoma flying coaster?
That's an interesting call because,
please.
you know, that you know what? Like, who knows? I mean, no,
I love a B&M, but when it comes to a flying coaster, I'm sorry, the Vekoma takes it.
I was a little bit gutted when I saw it was green. I was like, oh, that doesn't look Velocicoaster to me.
It's not Velocicoaster.
But hey, it's, you know, unique, you know, in that way. And but I mean, I sometimes I've always been a bit frustrated, and I know Disney have started doing it quite a bit now with copy and paste attractions across the world. And you want certain ones to be kind of unique to your local Disney or Universal park. But I understand why, like the one in Beijing, that dark ride, you know, I'm really gutted. I've seen a POV of it now. Now it's going to be in the UK because I've watched it, and now I'm like,
it's spoilt it.
Forget in 6 years, Kev. It'll be all right.
I will. I'm going to block it out.
Yeah, that's it.
Go in fresh, as if I've never seen it.
Get some hypnotherapy. It'll be cool.
That's it. I just need a Men in Black thing.
Hey, you need Darren Brown.
Let's not bring Darren Brown in.
He might be looking for work. You never know.
Anyone want to give me an IP? Anybody? Jurassic Park will be great. I think it's so iconic for Universal. Every park has one. I think it would be stupid to have not had one in the UK. So I'm all for Jurassic Park. Absolutely.
And the indoor huge dark ride makes perfect sense in a country where it rains 80% of the year.
Absolutely.
So at least we will be able to enjoy it all year round. Let's move on to the next station. Right. So this is it's not a ride. It's what looks like an arena entertainment area, of which there is discussion over what could be going in there. You've already mentioned Waterworld, which was the initial, they're bringing
That's what we thought.
But then the James Bond rumour started creeping in.
Yeah, I've heard the rumor. I don't really know what to think about it because I genuinely have not heard anything to make me believe that is happening or that is what's going there. I might be completely wrong, and it might be this might be whatever the bias is, and I've forgotten what the bias is for it. When you're like, you want it to be something, and it's like a kind of a form of confirmation bias. I'm like, I really want it to be Waterworld, so James Bond can go away. But I think, look, they have made it look as much like Waterworld as they possibly can in this concept art. Now we know that there's been some trickery. We know that there have been details taken out of every single land, everything. Clock Tower in Hill Valley, some of the detailing around Jurassic World or Jurassic Park, like the gates. We'll just erase that and no one will know. This one genuinely is a bit of a mystery to me, because it looks like Waterworld, but as I said, like, we would be buzzing for that. But if I kind of, if I just kind of went down, to the co-op and I said, they're gonna have a Waterworld themed stunt show, they'll be like, huh? What? Kevin Costner? What? Like, it would probably seem weird to people. So I think that's why people are kind of going, oh, well, it's going to be an actiony thing. And what do we have that's actually in this country?
It's very British.
Bond.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, they don't own the IP. So, I mean, like, there's this kind of weird thing where, like, Amazon do now, and maybe they can do a deal with Amazon. But, like, we're talking really, this is all hypothetical. And I'm going to say something controversial, but I hope it's not James Bond.
Oh.
I hope it's not.
Do you hope it's not because you really want it to be Waterworld?
I mean,
in
part.
What would you hope it to be then, Lawrence? What if it's?
I mean, look, I want Waterworld. I'm not going to like it.
Potential.
I might be wrong. I just think James Bond is such a difficult IP to pull off. The tone of it is always changing. James Bond himself is always changing. Everything about it is always it's such a dynamic IP. And when you've got such a dynamic IP like that, it is, look, I'm not a James Bond aficionado, but if you compared Skyfall with On Her Majesty's Secret Service, then you'd be like, wait a minute. This the same thing?
Yeah.
This is the same thing. Okay. So then which version are we getting? Are we getting, Daniel Craig? Are we getting Sean Connery? What's the situation? Like there's so many questions, and it is so polarizing because everyone's got their favorite Bond, everyone's got their favorite movie, everyone likes this, everyone likes that, and you know what? It's so complicated, and it will probably be expensive as well. So like I just think that I get it's very popular. I understand that people would want it, but I think it might just be a bit too complex to pull off in order to please people. Genuinely, this is the one part of this concept like I'm looking at. I'm like, got no idea.
Could be a lot of different things.
Maybe it'll change every year.
Hey, seasonal.
Yeah, can you imagine? Okay, well, we'll leave that one in the hope that it's Waterworld for Lawrence. Moving on down, we've got what is now strongly rumored to be Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, I mean, look, that's the thing. I've been getting some heat online because I said this Lord of the Rings, and people are like, "No, it's not Shrek." Like,
yes, that's what I heard.
Well, okay, all right, maybe it is. No one knows. We do know that Lord of the Rings had a trademark filed in the last 2 weeks for theme park attractions. So if it ain't that bit and that bit Shrek, cool. But Lord of the Rings is coming. Now, I am I didn't get into Lord of the Rings until a few Christmases ago when I told you about this, Bex, on the TikTok live, didn't I? I was stuffing my face with turkey and ham between Christmas and New Year, and probably drinking sherry. And I was like, oh, I just want to put something on TV. What can I put on that's going to last a long time? And I thought, I know what. Let's put Lord of the Rings on, see if that's any good. Because I'd seen it at the cinema when I was younger, and I was like, oh, yeah, it's all right. Loved it. Right now, I think I'm like, yes, bring that in, because like if you think, okay, it's not as I was saying this to Soph, my wife, just earlier. What a joyous existence she has hearing about this all day. But I was saying the thing is, like, the Wizarding World is so relatable. We've all gone to secondary school. We've all had to make new friends. We've all had to deal with a bully or whatever. We've all kind of had that feeling of being an outsider and trying to fit in. Like there's so much relatable stuff, even though the whole thing feels like it's fantastical. In that it is an absolute masterpiece of literature. But Lord of the Rings is not relatable in that way. It's not. But the depth of it, the detail of it, the scope of it all, like it honestly, if people are blown away by, oh wow, the Ministry of Magic, or they're blown away by, oh wow, Hogwarts, a castle, right? Have you seen Lord of the Rings? Have you seen the scale of the stuff on that? It is unbelievable. It is on a global scale. So I really hope that they do it, because I think that could be like that could be the thing that people are like, yeah, I'm excited about that. Yeah, I'm excited. And then you go on it. It's like an opening day thing. It could be like the Monsters Unchained thing, right? Where people are like, oh yeah, that'll be good. Yeah, it's got potential. Yeah, it's good. And people coming off that and going, that thing's next level. That is genuinely that like it stays with people for days.
Yeah.
I think there is a massive opportunity, and I
Hmm.
think that has genuine potential to be the sleeper hit of this
Hmm.
resort. I really do. I think if it, a groundbreaking dark ride on Lord of the Rings, they could
Mm.
absolutely knock it out of the
Yeah.
park.
Lord of the Rings is an incredibly immersive world to be a part of, and even if it's not big scale rides, I
Mm.
think they can still create that feeling of being in Hobbiton or
Yeah.
Helm's Deep, wherever you want to be in that kind of immersive world. Um, as long as it's based on the trilogy and not the show. But
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
much
Yeah.
potential there. And again, it's another set of films that if you are a huge fan of it, you are a huge fan. And it's
Mm.
like like Harry Potter almost, isn't it? Um,
Mm.
the films are just like three of the greatest films ever made. I mean, the fact that they filmed it back to back as well, and my mind is blown.
Kev,
You
honestly,
know,
I'm not lying to you. Like, if you'd have said this to me 5 years ago, I'd have gone like, yeah, all right. I am 100% with you. They like those things are masterpieces.
hmm
And what did we just say about the IP thing? Like people, people, they're making like
hmm
spin-off TV series, which might not be good, but they're making
mm
spin-off TV series about these three movies that came out 20 years ago. That is that is how much staying power that IP has.
hmm
Again, not a problem.
hmm
You want to invest
yeah,
a few 100 million in a ride system and a fantastic experience around that IP. I don't think you got to worry
hmm
about it going out of,
absolutely.
you know,
Minecraft can
Mm.
suck it. Because you know what
hey,
I mean? Like, where am I gonna go? I'm gonna walk
oh,
around Minecraft, or I'm gonna walk around, Lord of the Rings at Universal. And there's,
blows my mind. Blows my
you
mind. It really
know,
does.
but I'm really nerding out about some of these themes. Literally, this is where it's not going to be now. It's going to be Shrek, isn't it? Oh well.
Honestly, man, like you do not need to worry about that. I mean, look, I'm sorry for people that, maybe you've seen a building here that looks a bit like something that you've seen, the poison apple, whatever it is, and you're thinking, oh, but it's the same building. Maybe it is. Maybe it is. But we're also getting Lord of the Rings. All right. So don't worry about it. Okay. I'm again. This is one of those that I'm absolutely not losing sleep over. Um, now, do you know what? I think the next one around is probably the easiest to discuss.
This is the one that I'm hearing the most conflicting ideas on.
Oh, really?
Mm.
Yeah, is this
What are
not?
you hearing?
I'm hearing Minions, but I'm also hearing Paddington.
Uh, wrong side of the park. We skipped over Paddington earlier.
Oh, did
Sorry to
we?
tell you.
Oh, is that
We did.
is that one of the ones they've kind of
Where is that?
made it
Just a
not that clear what it
tiny
is?
bit.
It's squished between the hotel and Back to the Future. You can see it there. If you
Oh,
zoom
it's
in, you can
starting
see
Yeah.
too
a
far
balloon
away.
ride. You can
Yeah, yeah,
see
Oh,
another
of course, yes, we
flat
did.
ride with a big kind of marmalade jar on it. Um,
yeah. What could it be?
well,
Well, I'll be.
it's a real mystery, that one. So genuinely, that yeah, don't worry. That's going to be Paddington.
Oh,
But
awesome.
I think that one could be subject to change. Like the first couple of films are beloved. The lot, I saw the third film. It's decent. It's got some great people in it. Not as well received. They might just be wanting to see how that one plays out, see how much longevity that IP particularly has. Um, but yeah, that one on the right hand side, the furthest right as you look at it, that is Minions. It's going to be
Mhm.
Illumination. It's going to be full on Minions. You've got like cruise houses there, even like. And if you want a really good idea as to what it's going to look like, feel like, sound like, um, go on YouTube and look up the Minions Land at Universal Beijing.
Yeah, I
In
was gonna
fact, if you
say.
go on and find a satellite image of it, and then try and use the power of your brain to overlay it onto that, you will see that it's almost identical. It's almost identical. That green track that you actually see there that looks like a roller coaster. If it's like Beijing, that will just be theming, and the actual roller coaster will be within that kind of
the building,
marquee kind of, which probably will be kind of more of a kind of a Victorian style kind of iron construction thing, rather than anything kind of made out of fabric.
I mean, how do you feel about that, Lawrence?
About Minions?
Yeah, about it being like pretty much identical.
That's a fair question, Kev. I'm not bothered about it. I'm not bothered about it. Look, it's not going to be. I'm not going to rope drop that first day. I'm not going to be like, yeah, okay, first day, first day of this park opening. I know where I'm going, baby. I'm going Minions. But you know what? If I let my 3-year-old decide, I know where he'd be going. I mean,
you might have to.
Well, you'll have like a 10-year-old then.
Oh yeah,
that's,
true.
That's
actually,
crazy.
100%. And I am going to be educating him on these IPs heavily over the coming years. But no, I mean, look, the park needs something reliable. It needs something that, and when I say reliable, I don't mean in a mechanical sense. I mean reliable in terms of pretty much every family is gonna love it, right? The kids are gonna have a great time, and do you know what? There'll be enough in there for the whole family, and it will be kids first coaster. It will be, they'll have. Might have Minion Mayhem and all of that stuff, but they'll have some great stuff there, right? And that it just does not concern me. Of all of the directions they could have gone, they do make me laugh because they're so ridiculous.
One of them's called Kevin as well, so I've got to be there.
I hadn't even put the two of you
there
together.
Are kids at schools that go, "It's Kevin the Minion." So yes, and I have to.
Traumatizing.
Yeah. No, not at all.
Oh man, but no, I genuinely, I know it's a cut and paste, but then look, so's Jurassic World Adventure, and that does not concern me or upset me in any way. It's just that one is to my tastes and to my preferences and to my demographic, I guess. If I kind of, if I showed my son, to be honest, vicariously, he has watched a lot of theme park vlogs. If I said, "Look, Minions Land, what do you reckon?" He'll be like, "When do we go?" I mean, you guys got kids, would you say?
Yeah, I think so. And it's just that, again, they've been around for so long now. Like, you forget how long ago the original Despicable Me came out. It's ages.
Yeah.
2010, 11, something like that, around that kind of time.
Something like that.
So it feels like because bear in mind, we're still 6 years away. Yeah. At least, aren't we? So we're trying to think what's, it's popular now. So I guess that's probably one of the reasons why they're keeping this concept art in a certain way. Because like you say, Lawrence, it's really interesting that they're doing this now, because in 6 years they want to know, okay, well, what is it going to still, is there any point building something that's related to Paddington, because then it might not be as popular?
Exactly. They'll want some maneuverability on this. And okay, nailed on. I'm going to give you a definitive right now, okay? Because I know we're kind of running short on time, but my definitives are Back to the Future, yes. Jurassic World or Jurassic Park, whatever flavor, yes. Minions, yes. And Lord of the Rings, yes. Paddington, big question mark. James Bond, Waterworld, question mark. I think there are some things in here where they have left themselves wiggle room, but then there are other things that I think genuinely. I mean, look, we know how long these things take to produce. We know how much planning and effort and time and R&D goes into so much of this. So, like, genuinely, they're going to be making decisions very, very soon about what is actually going to be built. Yeah. So part of this, as I said, they seeded this out. They want to know how people respond to it.
I'm glad that we're getting different stuff. I genuinely am glad to see different stuff to what we're getting over in Orlando. I mean, I would have loved a Velocicoaster just because I just want to go and ride Velocicoaster all day. But I say it kind of in jest. I'm actually glad that we'll be getting some different coasters, maybe first of their kind. The Back to the Future ride doesn't look like anything that exists anywhere currently. So, maybe it'll be even better. Doubtful. I would love it if it is a flying coaster, if they bought a Vekoma model. But I'm just excited to see it start building. And we talked about this 6 years, and you talked about they're going to be putting in, deciding what they're going to build soon. We spoke to Francis Jackson, on a couple of episodes ago, and he said when you're 6 years out is like, that's when everything's kind of starting to get in place for this new attraction. When you're 3 years out, it suddenly feels very close, and that's 3 years out. So these things are going to be getting nailed down now, and it's all going to start happening, I think, very quickly, quicker than we can even imagine, even though there is not currently a spade in the ground. Which we should probably talk about, just kind of what happens next. So Keir Starmer has done a thing with a fancy curtain and unveiled this lovely artwork that we've been discussing. There are still people rightly pointing out it still needs planning permission granted. However, I mean, knowing how UK politics works, you don't get the Prime Minister to do a fancy ceremony unveiling artwork unless you are nailed on confident that this is going through, do you?
No, you don't. And it's not going for planning permission. They're not applying to, to build this. It's not going through that process. This isn't like, sticking a dormer window on your roof. This is like, what they're doing here is they're building. This is genuinely one of the largest engineering projects and construction projects this country has seen outside of wartime. This is enormous. Like, genuinely, more people are going to be working on this at its peak than are working on HS2. Less said about that probably than the better.
That's because there's 3 people working on HS2.
By the way, that one's going, I think you might be right. But genuinely, so this is going to happen, right? So the way this is happening, this is not going to go to Jackie Weaver at the Parish Council. What it's going to do is it's going to be put through to Westminster for a special development order. So if you're feeling particularly nerdy, Google special development order. It will take you to a government website. You can actually set email notifications for every time that page is updated. What do you think I've done? Do you think you should do that? You should probably do that.
Do that.
But what you'll see there is that is where the big stuff that doesn't need planning permission is going on. So it's like, we're reconfiguring something at what used to be NATO headquarters in Northwood. But I'm going to tell you what, we're just kind of doing some stuff, but everything's transparent. So that's where that's going. It's going into the same place that MOD projects go. So genuinely, this is nailed on. Sorry if you were an NIMBY and you're really upset about this, it's going to happen now. So planning permission, don't worry about it. But what that does mean, though, is we're not going to be able to look at blueprints in the basement of Bedford Town Hall, I was really looking forward to that. I know how much the Runnymede Council offices get bombarded for Thorpe Park development. So I was hoping for a piece of that action. It's not going to happen. So that's that. In terms of what is actually going to happen next, well, it's going to be a lot of preparation work, right? What we've seen in that concept art, that they don't just go, right, let's stick a roller coaster on it, right? Because first of all, there's no lake there at the moment. They're going to have to make that. There's also no electricity in that field. They're going to have to do that. There's no gas. There's no sanitation. There's no fresh water. There is nothing there. It used to be a brickworks and it has laid derelict for 30 years. There is nothing there. Nothing. So they're going to have to do that. And, the geek in me wants them to build little tunnels and little things and stuff underneath there as well, so people can be ferried around in business. But all of that stuff's got to happen. But do you know what? Before they even do that, they've got to build 2 train stations. They've got to build a new slip road off the A421 so that people like me don't get stuck in the traffic behind, 700, cement mixers or whatever those things are called. Those things that spin around and around. Genuinely, I like. There is so much to do. The first things that we're going to see, and we're already seeing this, is the Wixham's train station, the North-South line, that has already been approved for a 2-platform station. There's nothing there at the moment. It's going to be a 2-platform station. They're going to be stretching that to at least a 4-platform station. That's going to involve laying some additional lines and stuff, but again, not a problem. They're going to be moving a train station as well on the East-West rail. Again, that's not happened yet. That's going to probably happen after they've built a slip road, which is off the A421, which joins the M1 and the A1. So we're going to see all of this first. Now, I do know that this is a bit which is kind of, this is the thing which has led me to be so sure that this thing is happening, because people who work on the railways, people that work for the Highways Agency, have been planning those slip roads, those train stations, all of this work. Those plans they've been filed away in a drawer for months, waiting to go. And that's why it needed to happen now, because we've got a summer ahead of us and then we've got a winter, but we need to kick things off. So the first bits that we're going to see is going to be all around infrastructure. It's going to be a civil engineering stuff. We're not going to see track arriving on site, but what we are going to start seeing is we're going to start to see some activity. And God, I just can't wait for it.
You've never been so excited to see a 20-ton digger, JCB excavator in your life. And of course, what we are already seeing is hundreds of theme park nerds descending on the field in Bedford. Honestly, I think I'm the only person who's not yet been there, so I'm going to do that. I'll meet you down there for a cup of tea.
Hey, you two got to come down here. You got to come down here. You let me know when. You let me know when. I'll put the kettle on. You come down here. We'll go down there together. We could do an episode from down there.
We could.
That sounds like a great idea.
Summer.
I think Digital Dan's already doing that. He's nabbed that one.
Yeah, but he's doing. I'm afraid that he knows this, right? You can't monopolize just recording something outside
in a field.
Yeah, it's okay, but no, it has been ridiculous. I've been kind of playing bingo, just kind of going, oh yeah, he's in the field. Yeah. Oh, I know that tree. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. Jack Silkstone. All right. Yeah. Sean's there. Okay. Nice. Okay. It is absolutely wild. It's been crazy. Yeah. And it's funny. Everyone goes to the same bush as well. It's very, very weird.
If you've got an alternative bush which you would like to show us, then
I've got hundreds of bushes. I've got hundreds of good bushes. But no, everybody goes to the same one. It's almost like there's some sort of witchcraft going on there. It's a bit sort of it's a bit
Is it like a theme park nerd homing?
Yeah, I think
maybe
so.
that's the entrance gates. They're just naturally being drawn.
Maybe there's been like some sort of ceremonial sacrifice on the land or something. Maybe that's what's happened. Who's behind this? Somebody, one of the theme park enthusiast community. Somebody thought, you know what? I need a good story to cover on my channel.
Yeah.
I'm going to do something horrible on this land, and we're going to build in the name of building a universal theme park. I don't know.
That sounds like an original IP that I could get behind, to be honest.
They're going to feel really silly when that bush isn't actually in the park grounds or something silly, aren't they? Been recording from this bush for the last years. It's in the park's there. But that...
Oh, do you know what? It's happening. It happens already. I mean, I've seen it a few. Actually, when it was announced, there were news crews, and some of them were in completely the wrong place. They were like 2 miles down the road. I was like, yeah. Look, you're in a bit of derelict land, but there's a bit of that around here. So you're in the wrong bit. You're in the wrong bit. But no, it's been crazy.
Okay, well, look, this has been fascinating as always. Hopefully enjoyable to listen to. I'm sure, all of this has been discussed online, so I'm not sure we've taught you anything new, but we love having a chat about it, and hopefully you felt involved and embraced in our little theme park
very
chat.
nerdy.
It is very nerdy.
Geeking out. That's what we like.
There is going to be so much to unpick on this as we start, seeing diggers moving in. I probably won't get you on to discuss that. That's a bit dull. But once Universal do start confirming certain things, maybe even just their name would be great. Then obviously we're going to need to start talking about that in some more detail. So this will not be the last time that we discuss this project, clearly.
Of course not.
And I'm sure even in the next couple of months, we are going to start seeing some developments and some exciting stuff happening. So yes, you will be back. You don't have to just come back and talk about Universal. Come back and talk about whatever you want, within theme park reason.
You know me. It's now the invitation's out there. It's going to be hard to keep me away. That's
Lawrence, it's been amazing having you on as usual. We love having you here, and I know everyone loves hearing all your good Bedford insider knowledge as well. If you haven't found him already, just search Universally Bedford on whichever social media platform takes your fancy. I can recommend TikTok because he's usually there in a very fancy hat, which I do enjoy. You look like from Jurassic Park when you're wearing that hat. It's like you are imitating it already. So yeah, you can go and find him wherever you fancy, and he's going to be bringing you up to date far more than we will because he is on top of all of this stuff. If you have enjoyed today's episode, please do give us a like and a review. Let us know what you thought. Let us know if you have any Universal thoughts that we can look at, and maybe something we've not considered yet. And if you drop us a review, that's going to help as well. For now, though, we've been Parkcast.
Parkcast, the UK's original theme park podcast.